There it is.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the first Level-Headed Marketing Hangout. It's myself, Doc Sheldon, and Gabriella Sanino here. We welcome you all. This is going to be a periodic thing. We're kind of in debate at the point. It may be a weekly, it may be a bi-weekly, but we're going to try to bring you something of value every time we get together so that we're international copywriting, international SEO. That's going to be our main thrust. We always welcome questions. Our hashtag is the hashmark LHM2013. That's Level-Headed Marketing 2013. So hashtag us a question if it's live, and we'll keep an eye peeled and try to answer it. Now let me turn it over to Gabriella to let her say howdy.
Hello there. Well, I'm glad that we finally decided to do this. It's just a matter of just jumping in. One of the things that's really exciting, especially to share with our listeners, our readers, and hopefully new listeners and new readers, is our passion and our years in working with international marketing. Most recently, Doc and I have been teaming up and working with some clients that want to penetrate the South American market, and Doc's a professional down there. So he's my guy, my number one guy to go to. But that's one of the reasons we decided to get on air and to share some of this information with you, because we find that there's still so many questions and so many theories, and we've at least tested a few. So, not to say that we know what we're talking about, but we have dipped into the pool, if you will. We have drunk the Kool-Aid. Anyway, some of the things that we had discussed actually on the last hangout we were in was with the international market, and we had Sante, Wissam, who else? You were on, I was on, Jonathan.
Jonathan was there, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that what we wanted to do is just kind of expound on that a little bit, because we have had a couple of questions since then. You want to start us off with some of the points, Doc?
Sure. Yeah, one of the items, of course, we talked about the other day that is very valid, and I think that a lot of people sometimes misunderstand. They think that they can simply take a page in one language, say English, and translate it to German or French or Italian or whatever, and they've got something that's good to run with. And that is definitely an oversimplification. Translation, first thing, my major rule is forget any automated program like Google Translate. The translations there will do nothing but raise eyebrows and gather a few chuckles. They're great for things like Babelfish and Google Translate for determining what does a word mean. But once you put those words into a sentence, forget it. They'll just destroy your credibility.
Well, if I can just jump in real quick, one word. We just did a post, and Doc, I'm sure, knows about it, over at Carla Young's Mom magazine. And one word that we translated in several languages. In some languages it translated fine, and in others, and I think it was latte, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh no. Yeah, that's a bad one.
So that's just one word. So again, I encourage you to use Babelfish, to use Google Translate, sure, but just be really careful when you do it for clients, especially if you're doing a professional job, and you have to keep in mind the culture, you have to keep in mind the slang, you have to keep in mind the region. Not to go back on what Doc said. It's good for one word, but also just keep in mind sometimes that one word can get you in trouble.
Absolutely. So, on the translation issue, I think it's really it really behooves us to use someone that is intimately familiar with not only the language, but also the culture, the region, the people, the vernacular. little things like that. It's just not something I can translate something into French, and I can do enough research online to actually get it to a decent translation. But that doesn't mean that it would work at all for marketing in a French market. In all probability, it would not, and certainly has the potential for doing you great damage. So translation, I feel personally, needs the hand of someone who is intimately familiar, totally entrenched in the culture. That doesn't mean that if you're targeting the Paris market that you've got to find someone in Paris versus Versailles, of course. But finding a person who is fluent in French that happens to have lived their entire life in Brazil probably won't be a good move, because there are nuances of the local language that might escape them too.
Well, especially now, globalization of businesses has gotten so small. Now it's, gosh, just 10 years ago. I mean, I don't want to age ourselves, but I know when I first started on the internet, people were saying it's never going to take. People are never going to buy. People are never going to join. It's too dangerous, so on and so forth. But at this point, the globalization of our marketing has gotten so small that one of the best things that I've found is you've got the resources, you've got the people that are there, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Google Plus. Get out there, reach out to people in that country, and see if you can partner with them. Not to say that you can't do this on your own if you know the language, and I'm not trying to take money away from your plate, but I think it would behoove you to get a team, just like we've done, of people that are local within that region. So not to beat a dead horse, but I don't want to find excuses of, well, I don't know anybody. Get out there, look for people, start following them, read their blog, introduce yourselves to them. I found some amazing people that are just wonderful, whether it's for the translation end of it, whether it's for social media, whether it's for brainstorming, whether it's for, consultation. So that's my takeaway on, when we say, oh, it's such a huge market. It's really not. It's small. Our world has become very, very small. You just have to figure out the timelines. So,
Absolutely.
if you don't mind waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning to talk to someone, in Europe or South America or whatever, then definitely make that your number one priority for translations.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of value to that too, because I think that I know that you deal with even more international SEOs than I do, and when you start talking to somebody like Sante or someone in the UK, someone in Australia, you have the ability to not only learn things from them, but in terms of what is happening around search and marketing in their region, but you can also share with them things that are happening in yours that they're not seeing. And a good case in point of that, I'm doing a lot of work in Australia right now, and I'm finding that what is going on in search in Australia is running about 14 to 18 months behind the States in terms of what Google is focusing on.
Wow.
So that means that things that I've learned over the last year are just becoming relevant there. It's almost like having a bug in the conference room at Google, knowing what they're going to do, and being able to take a good posture and keep your client out of trouble and give them the most effective functions.
Doc with the looking glass, or what are those balls called? The crystal ball.
Yeah, and there are occasions that we can learn from the other side too. Things that slowly develop that we might have missed in our own market because it went by so fast. Right now, for instance, things with Penguin and Panda hitting us. There's a lot of us that are spending so much time trying to focus on what is relevant in that field that we're missing other things.
Right.
And you talk to somebody in Denmark or Italy or Bulgaria, and you just might learn something.
Right, or it might not be relevant to them. One other thing that I kind of went off track about the translation is what I've noticed since the world is becoming so small, the English marketing lingo, if you will, is used everywhere. Just the other day, I was looking through some lists that I have of Russians, Bulgarians, more the Eastern Bloc countries, just to kind of pick through because we're looking to expand in that area. And again, those are some things that I didn't think existed there. But you know, marketing language, for example, I think what was it? Not e-commerce, but something that's very common in e-commerce. Oh, shopping cart. Shopping cart.
Yeah.
You know, you would think you could translate shopping cart into different languages, and it's not that you can't. But what I've noticed is they use the English term shopping cart. So again, understand that region and know the person that is in that region understands what the marketing lingo is. Sometimes it could just be a buzzword that lasts for, I don't know, a quarter. Or I mean, I can't think of any buzzwords that is gone and or has come and died, but they do exist. So English is the prevalent language across the globe, especially for marketing. So wanted to add that in there.
Want to grab the next point there, Gabs?
Absolutely. Now, one thing that was also discussed is the variations in Google's search results. What I might, and sure, I can make a search here, or I can do a search on my end with Google IT or Google.fr or Google.de for maybe keyword searches that we're doing, or for link building purposes. And again, these are all things that you're going to get variations in results. So does that mean that your results are irrelevant? No, but when it comes to you know, setting up a site for a client, you know, that's something that's been a question not only through the Hangouts that we've done, but I've gotten emails from clients. You know, we want to move into South America. As a matter of fact, one client that we worked together, Doc, they wanted to know, they were moving into, I think it was, I want to say Argentina or
yeah, Argentina.
I forgot. And they asked us, should we get a local URL with a .mx, I think it was, or .br, I forget. And so again, we recommend it's best to do it that way for many reasons. The location of the user, the language, the search results, and as you might or might not know, there's data centers all around the world that are going to give you different search results depending on where you are searching. But those are real important when you're working on an international site. And you know, I'm on the fence. It depends on the market. It depends on the client and the campaign. But you know, if I were to just answer blindly, if you have the opportunity to get a .it for an IT market, for an Italian market, then by all means do it. And make sure you have its own URL without the, what is it, where they do subfolders and that just drags, it slows everything down, and speed is real important, especially when you're dealing with you know, a huge site that has multiple subdirectories, if you will. Do you want to add to that, Doc?
Well, I think another aspect of that is there's not just the logistics side. You know, if you're in Germany, getting a .de domain certainly has logistics advantages to it. There's also a marketing aspect to that. If you happen to be presenting yourself as a German company offering German-based services or a German product, then the credibility to your market is going to be greater if you have a .de domain as well. But certainly, as you say, you know, the logistics side of it, having going through one less relay point on load is going to have an impact. And I think also from the standpoint of ranking, you know, particularly if you're looking at local, I think that's a no-brainer. If you're trying to localize, you need to get a domain a top level in your region. Uh, I
And
can go
I,
out. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I can go out and try to rank for something in Melbourne, Australia, with a .com, but imagine kind of the uphill battle I'm going to face going up against somebody that's got a .com.au.
Well, what I was going to add is I'm not sure about the mobile search, but I can't imagine that they would have a better, or I can only imagine that they would have better luck with mobile search if they're actually localized to that country. Now, I don't know this for a fact because I'm not real, savvy on mobile. But again, for the sake of speed, for the sake of relevance, for the sake of telling Google, this is where these people are doing the searches. This is where we are trying to localize. And again, one of the things I think that was discussed was the referral tag language.
The hreflang, yeah.
The hreflang. And again, those are all things that, I hate to sound like a car salesman. It depends on if you add the white wall tires and if you add the automatic windshield. And, these are all things, again, depending on your campaign. But if we were to just go in cold and this is who you're trying to market to, then absolutely. So for localization purposes, for speed purposes, for relevance, definitely is something that we advise to do.